What is going on, guys? The is all game with my review of God Eater episode 2, and honestly, this episode, it was like very simple, because it was like mostly set up for like episode 3, but the episode itself, obviously, it picks off from last week, and we see now that Lenka weapon has now transformed, but obviously, because he is still a rookie, he has no idea how to use it that effectively, and we see now that when another of those origami, attack him, he cannot fire it because the first time he did it, that right there was like a lucky shot. So right now he is still struggling, and because it's not in his blade form anymore, he cannot kill this origami that's not trying to attack him. So obviously now he has no choice but to retreat. But actually no, he was actually saved by that girl Sasaki, I believe her name was, because finally, I'm definitely trying to get their names down. But we see now that while they were fighting, these small origami, we see now that the big one that we saw last week is now also invading that, like town as well. And so obviously now they know this thing is now no joke. And so right now they told Lenka, to back off, because obviously he is a new guy, and right now they want, to save every casualty they can, because obviously no one wants to die. And we see now that, Lindo, he told Lenka, to back up with Eric, and we see now Sakio was the one that they're like leading them. And so we see now that while they had took Eric to safety, we see now, Lenka here, he was learning how to use, his guard arc, and we see now that when both of them go in there, because right now they have to work together, because Soma and Linda are like attackers, while Sakia and right now, and Lenka, they are now gunners. And so we see that while they were doing pretty well against, this big one, but obviously, I think it's a lot tougher than the small guys. So right now, it was definitely no joke. And we see, obviously, because Lenka, is still a rookie, he could not get a good hit, because there was at one point where they had blinded this creature, and we see now someone was like going in there, but this origami, we see now that like it still had pretty good senses, because we saw at one point it was like moving its tail, and we see now that when like Lenka tried to shoot it, obviously he missed, and we see now Soma here was like, we're gonna be in big trouble if he got hit by that. But luckily, he had blocked it. And then now when we see that the creature, even though it was like blinded, or I do believe it got its sight back then, we see now that it was like, it was going to step with him or try to. And that right there is where Lenka, had charged in there, for a close shot, because obviously there is no way he could miss it if he's that close to him. But we see now that right there, just like made the monster mad. And we see now actually charge up, and it just fired these like multiple lightning bolts down. And obviously, one of those, they are a pretty good number on Lenka. And not only that, we see him now kind of like paralyzed, because it seemed like he couldn't move that well. And we see him now, slowly losing consciousness. And that right there is where Lindo had to go in there, and save him. But luckily, even though it was not looking that good, we have, another squad, coming in there for some backup. And most of these squad members seem like gunners, so I do wonder just how many sword-based users are in this, organization, because most of them now, like, I believe that, like, Soma and Lindo were, like, the only two, attackers or sword users that we saw, so I do wonder just how many more are in there. But when Lenka had lost consciousness, and we see now that like two days had passed before he finally woke up, and we see him now in a jail cell because he had disobeyed orders, and so we see that that right there got him in trouble, and now we have that board leader, the guy with the blonde hair who was a scientist. We have him now talking with higher ups around the world, I guess. And we see that they actually want to take, Lenka's God arc away from him. And obviously that right there, would be so bad for him. But we do learn that there's another user from the Russian branch on her way there now. And I believe her name was like, Alisa, something like that. but we do not get, you know, a good shot of her face, you know, to the end. But obviously from her clothes, she definitely has, you know, a questionable, you know, sense of fashion, because she fights, you know, in like a midriff and in that short skirt, you know, fighting those kind of creatures. Obviously something can definitely go wrong with that. But we see now that apparently something is wrong with her, because at one point there was this doctor that giving her, you know, this medicine. So I do wonder, you know, if possible that she might die in the series, because right now it seems like she has some kind of disease that we have no idea, you know, what's it all about. But we do learn now that Eric, you know, the guy that, you know, Lenka first saved it in the first episode, we see now that he like actually died. And to me, I was like definitely wondering how in the world was that possible, because obviously, you know, Eric here, you know, they took the safety, you know, like very early on. And for him to die with like all those people there, I was just like wondering what in the world happened. And we see now in a flashback when Lenka here was unconscious, we have one of the origami, you know, not dead, and we see him now going for Lenka, and we have Eric here actually sacrificing himself, you know, to save him. And to me, even though, you know, I can respect that, I feel that like his death was like a waste, or it could have been avoided, because we have all those gunners here, and you mean to tell me that, you know, one of them could not get a quick shot off, you know, to kill the origami before it came down? Because if Eric could make it there, you know, while being injured, granted that, like, you know, he was not that far away, but still his movement shouldn't have been, you know, like a bit sluggish or slow, because he was injured. And I feel that, you know, someone could have, you know, shot that thing, but someone could have shot that thing before it got him or Lenka. So I feel that, you know, Eric's death, you know, to me, I cannot get that attached to a feeling thing, because I personally believe that like it definitely could have been avoided. But now we see that right there was like definitely eating, you know, Lenka up, you know, a little bit, because obviously, you know, Eric died to protect him. And we see now, you know, they had this like funeral for him, and we see that Lenka was like in the cafeteria. I mean, no, not Lenka, Lindo was like in the cafeteria, and he overheard these two girls talking about, you know, what Eric, you know, reported back to them about how Lenka here, you know, fought these origamis without his guard arc. And so Lindo was saying, excuse me, Lindo was saying that like that right there had reminded him of someone. And when you girls, you know, wants to know who it is, he claims to have forgotten, you know, who that was. And to me, I was thinking that right there, you know, was like probably Lenka in the past. So I do wonder exactly just how different he was, you know, when he first started compared to now. So hopefully we will get some flashback of Lindo, because obviously now, you know, he is definitely a main character. But we see now that the airplane that the girl was on, she had these, you know, attack choppers or jets, whatever, you know, like they were like following her, you know, protect her. But we see now that these flying type origami, you know, came out of nowhere and attacked all these jets, you know, pretty much destroying them. And so right now, obviously, you know, it's definitely not looking good, because if this plane, you know, goes down, you know, obviously they can lose, you know, the other, you know, new type that way. And so right now, the major here, she was going to send Lindo and Sakuya, you know, on the mission, you know, to protect that plane, and, you know, and get it to land safely. And right now, you know, Soma can't be there because he was on the way on a separate mission, and I do wonder what kind of mission, you know, that was. But obviously now, you know, with just these two, obviously, you know, this mission could go very wrong. But, you know, the major was saying that, like, she did not have a replacement for them, but Lindo told her, you know, yes they do. And that right there was Lenka. And now we see that, you know, that the major had been helping down to talk to him. And so obviously, you know, she had gave him two choices. He could pretty much sit there and, you know, and wait for the higher up, you know, to make their decision, or he could like go out there and prove himself, and that way, they will let him off the hook and keep his good arc as well. And so right now, he was thinking that nothing would get done if he just said this. So obviously, he was like going to go out there and and fight with Lindau and Sakia. And so right now, when he went to Lindau, well, first he learned obviously that the major definitely didn't approve this, and so because of that, they're gonna watch him like a hawk. And so now when he went to Lindau, they were talking. Lindau gave him these 3 rules. Don't die, obviously. If your life is threatened, run. And also hide, and then wait for an opening, then attack. And so right now, knowing these rules, obviously, hopefully, Lenka will follow them, and that right there will, get him to actually, stay out of trouble. But now we see that, Alisa, she is now going to fight. So in episode 3, we actually will see the other new type, and so that right there, should be pretty well. So like overall, the episode to me, it was definitely decent. Like I said, it was like mainly set up, for episode 3, because obviously that right there is where we'll get, a lot more action. And so because of that, I feel that the episode definitely did a good job. But obviously, I still have that issue with like Eric's death, but I don't want to judge it. I don't want to judge this too harshly now, because like I said, it definitely did a good job setting up for episode 3. So overall, I'm gonna give it maybe a 7 out of 10. But of course, I love to hear your thoughts on this. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And you guys take it easy. I'll see you all next time.